Why does India, a nation of more than 1.4 billion people, trust only one country in the entire world? Think about that for a moment. A rising superpower, a land with one of the strongest economies, a powerful military, and a rich history of standing on its own feet. Yet, when it comes to true trust, India points to just one. Not many know the reason behind this, and even fewer understand the depth of it. But today, you will. In a world where alliances shift overnight, where nations promise friendship but play games behind closed doors, India has learned a lesson the hard way. Betrayals, broken deals, empty promises. India has seen it all. That's why its trust is not given easily. It's earned, tested, and proven over time. And only one country has passed that test. In this video, we uncovered the shocking truth of why India's loyalty lies with one trusted partner. You'll discover how history, wars, and critical moments forged this bond. You'll see how it shapes India's future and what it means for global power. More importantly, you'll understand why this story matters to you. Because it's not just about nations, it's about life itself. Trust is rare. Loyalty is priceless. Stay with me till the very end, because once you know the truth behind India's one trusted country, you'll see the world and trust itself in a completely different way. India's rise on the global stage is not an accident. It is the result of decades of persistence, vision, and resilience. Once seen as a developing nation struggling with poverty and limited resources, today India commands attention in every major international forum. Its economy is among the fastest growing in the world. Its voice in global politics carries weight, and its defense capabilities make even the strongest nations pause and take notice. This transformation has made India more than just a participant in world affairs. It has become a decisive power that others must reckon with. In politics, India is no longer content with being on the sidelines. It takes bold positions, speaks with confidence, and challenges outdated narratives. Whether it's climate change, trade deals, or international conflicts, India now pushes for fairness and balance. It demands recognition for its people, its potential, and its contributions. This confidence comes from a place of strength, a nation of over 1.4 billion, backed by a powerful democracy, cannot be ignored any longer. In trade, India is a hub of opportunity. Technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship have turned it into a global magnet. Countries want to sell to India, invest in India, and partner with India. But India knows the game. It has seen how global trade can be used as a tool of manipulation. That's why it plays carefully, balancing openness with protection, making sure no one exploits its market unfairly. India welcomes business, but not at the cost of its independence. When it comes to defense, India has built a shield that reflects both power and prudence. From advanced missile systems to one of the largest standing armies, India shows it is prepared for any threat. But unlike some nations that use power recklessly, India uses its defense to secure peace, not to provoke. Its rise in military strength is not about intimidation. It is about survival and dignity. This strength has made it a nation that others want as an ally, not as an enemy. With all this growth, India has also become cautious about who it allows close. Power attracts attention, but it also attracts betrayal. History has shown India that alliances built on promises often collapse when tested by crisis. That is why India does not rush into trust. It studies, observes, and waits. Only when a partner proves loyalty through action, not words, does India begin to lean closer. Trust is rare in international politics. Nations don't usually operate out of friendship. They operate out of self-interest. Behind every handshake and every smile, there is a calculation. What's in it for us? What do we gain? The language of politics is rarely about loyalty. It is about benefits. Agreements are signed when interests align, but they are broken when those interests shift. This is the reality of global affairs, and India knows it well. Yet India stands apart in its approach. It does not blindly follow the pattern of temporary friendships. It seeks something deeper. It values relationships that have been tested by time, those that remain steady even when situations change. While many nations bend under pressure from powerful countries, India holds its ground and remembers who stood by it when others turned away. This memory guides its decisions. India's rise has therefore created a paradox. On one hand, the world wants to pull closer to India because of its influence. On the other hand, India is careful, selective, and strategic in choosing its true partners. It does not spread its trust too thin. It knows that trust given to the wrong nation can be dangerous. So it has chosen to rely on only one country, one that has proved again and again that loyalty still exists in a world of shifting alliances. India's strength today is not only measured in numbers, weapons, or wealth, it is measured in wisdom. Wisdom that knows power is meaningless without principles. Wisdom that knows friendship without trust is nothing but a transaction. And wisdom that has learned through decades of trials that the rarest currency in global politics is not gold, oil, or influence. It is trust. A history of betrayals has shaped the way India looks at the world today. For decades, India extended its hand in goodwill, hoping for fairness, respect, and cooperation. But again and again, it found itself facing broken promises and double standards. Nations that once promised support pulled back when India needed them most. Some turned to India only when it was convenient for their own interests, disappearing the moment the situation became difficult. These experiences left scars that could not be ignored. In the years after independence, India believed in the ideals of equality and friendship among nations. It stood as a leader of the non-aligned movement, determined not to be caught in the games of superpowers. But what did it receive in return? Pressure, manipulation, and often betrayal. When conflicts arose, many nations that had spoken of partnership chose neutrality or even sided with India's rivals. This pattern showed India that in global politics, words are cheap and loyalty is rare. One of the most painful lessons came during times of war. When India faced threats on its borders, it looked to supposed allies for support. Instead, it found hesitation, delays, and in some cases, outright abandonment. Promises of military aid were withdrawn. Statements of solidarity were watered down. Behind the scenes, deals were struck with nations that challenged India's security. These moments carved deep mistrust into India's foreign policy mindset. The double standards did not stop at military matters. In trade and economics, too, India saw the same patterns. Nations that preach free trade often turned protectionist when India's industries began to rise. Rules were bent to favor others, while India was told to play by restrictions. On human rights and democracy, India was lectured by countries that themselves ignored these values when it suited them. The message was clear. Fairness was a mask, and behind it was self-interest. Because of this history, India grew cautious. It stopped taking words at face value and started watching actions. Instead, it learned to measure not what nations promised, but how they behaved when the stakes were high. India's leaders realized that trust was not something to be given freely. It was something that had to be earned over years, tested in crises, and proven beyond doubt. And in this journey, one country stood out. Through the turbulence of wars, economic struggles, and global shifts, one partner consistently showed up for India. While others wavered, this country stood firm. While others looked for gains, this one offered real support, and that partner was Russia. The relationship between India and Russia is not just political. It is built on decades of shared experiences. From the Cold War era to the modern day, Russia has been India's most trusted ally. When other nations hesitated to provide weapons, Russia supplied them. When others imposed conditions, Russia offered cooperation without strings attached. In moments of crisis, when India needed backing in international forums, Russia's voice was often the one that carried weight in India's favor. This loyalty was not forgotten. India has long memories, and it values consistency above all, while other nations shifted their stance depending on convenience. Russia proved reliability time and again. This does not mean India is blind to Russia's flaws or unaware of global politics. It means that compared to the betrayals of others, Russia's record of standing with India speaks louder than any speech or promise. The trust between India and Russia is unique because it was not built in times of comfort, but forged in times of trial. It is the kind of bond that cannot be faked or replaced. For India, this is what makes all the difference. In a world full of shifting alliances and hidden agendas, the memory of past betrayals has made India cautious. But it has also made India value the rare loyalty it has found. And in Russia, India sees that loyalty proven time and again over decades. Why Russia? The answer begins with military bonds that run deeper than most people realize. From the early years of independence, India needed partners who would help it build strength, not exploit weakness. It was Russia that stepped forward when others looked away. Weapons, aircraft, submarines, and advanced defense systems. All of these were shared by Russia at a time when no other nation was willing to take the risk. This cooperation was not just about transactions. It was about building trust through action. India's defense sector today carries the fingerprints of Russian support. Fighter jets that guard the skies, tanks that protect the borders, and missile systems that deter aggression all tell the story of a bond forged in steel and technology. Russia was not afraid to share knowledge. It trained Indian soldiers, opened its factories, and even allowed India to produce advanced equipment on its own soil. This kind of partnership was unheard of in those days, and it gave India the confidence to stand tall against stronger enemies. No other country offered India this level of support. Western nations often placed conditions, demanding loyalty in return for equipment. They tied every deal with political strings. Russia did not. Its approach was straightforward. A friend in need deserves help. That is why India trusted Russia when it came to defense. The support was consistent, not temporary, and it gave India a foundation on which to build its own capabilities. But the story of trust does not stop with weapons. It is also about difficult times when words mean little and actions mean everything. When India faced wars on its borders, Russia did not stay silent. During the 1971 war, when India was under immense pressure, it was Russia that sent its naval fleet to stand by India. That single act changed the balance of power. While others hesitated, debated, or tried to play both sides, Russia showed unmistakable loyalty. In moments of crisis, this pattern repeated itself. Whether it was conflicts with neighboring countries or challenges at the United Nations, Russia consistently backed India. It did not waver under international pressure. It did not abandon India to win favor elsewhere. This reliability became a rare commodity in global politics, and India never forgot it. While many countries shifted positions to suit their own interests, Russia stood steady like a rock. These actions built more than just a defense partnership. They built a sense of trust that could not be faked. For India, it was not about words spoken at diplomatic tables, but about who showed up when the world turned hostile. In those critical moments, Russia's presence was not symbolic, it was decisive. That is why India continues to value the relationship deeply. The cooperation also extended beyond the battlefield. Russia shared technology that helped India move closer to self-reliance. from nuclear submarines to missile defense systems. India gained access to platforms that elevated its military status. In some cases, these were technologies that even Russia did not share widely with others. This trust in sharing sensitive systems spoke volumes about the depth of the partnership. For India, the memory of betrayal from other nations made these gestures stand out even more. It saw how promises could vanish under pressure, how supposed friends could become silent spectators. Russia's actions were the opposite. They carried weight, they brought results, and they reminded India that true allies reveal themselves when the storm is strongest. The bond between India and Russia is not just about strategy. It is about loyalty proven in blood, steel, and sacrifice. When others demanded conditions, Russia extended its hand. When others hesitated, Russia acted. And when India looked for someone it could truly trust, it found that trust in Russia. This is why even today, despite changing global equations, the bond remains unshaken. It is not built on convenience, but on history, loyalty, and the unbreakable promise of support in the most difficult times. Energy and economy form another powerful link between India and Russia. For a nation as vast and growing as India, energy is not just a requirement, it is the lifeline of progress. Factories, transport, industries, and homes all depend on a steady supply of fuel and resources. Russia has played a critical role in meeting this need. From crude oil to natural gas, from coal to nuclear technology, Russia has been a consistent supplier at times when others hesitated or imposed conditions. This flow of energy has kept India's engine of growth running strong, even when global markets became unpredictable. In recent years, as energy prices fluctuated wildly due to sanctions and geopolitical conflicts, India found stability through its connection with Russia. While many nations chose politics over partnership, Russia prioritized its bond with India. It offered oil at discounted rates, ensuring that the Indian economy stayed resilient. For a country with such massive demand, these supplies were not a luxury, they were a necessity. They allowed India to keep inflation under control, protect its industries, and provide affordable energy to its people. Resources do more than power machines. They power relationships. Every shipment of oil, every contract on gas, every collaboration in nuclear projects strengthened the ties between the two nations. This was not about charity. It was about trust and reliability. Russia proved that even under immense global pressure, it would not abandon India. This consistency built confidence that went far beyond economics. It became a bond of dependability. The cooperation also extended to infrastructure and technology. Russia partnered with India in building nuclear power plants, which now contribute to the country's clean energy goals. This was not a short-term deal, but a long-term investment in India's future. Few nations are willing to share such sensitive technology. Russia not only shared it, but also worked hand in hand with Indian scientists and engineers. These projects stand as monuments of collaboration and shared vision. This energy partnership fed directly into India's larger strategy of independence. Trusting Russia in this critical area meant India could avoid falling into the traps set by Western powers. Many Western nations often use energy as leverage. They impose sanctions, set conditions, or demand political alignment in exchange for resources. India has seen this playbook before. It has watched how countries are turned into puppets once they depend too much on Western supplies. By keeping Russia close, India escapes this cycle. Strategic independence is at the heart of India's foreign policy. It does not want to be forced into anyone's camp. It does not want to surrender its freedom for temporary benefits. This is why its trust in Russia becomes so significant. Russia never demanded that India change its political stance in return for resources. It never asked India to compromise its principles. Instead, it respected India's sovereignty while strengthening the partnership. That respect created space for India to act on its own terms in global affairs. This independence is not just about politics, it affects every citizen. When energy is secure, industries grow, jobs are created, and daily life becomes stable. When independence is preserved, India speaks with its own voice, not with borrowed words. The combination of energy support and strategic freedom gives India a rare position in the world, a nation that can rise without being controlled. In the past, other countries tried to lure India with offers that came at a hidden cost. Dependence was the trap, and control was the prize. India refused to step into it. Instead, it chose the path of balanced partnerships, with Russia as the anchor of reliability. This decision ensured that India could resist pressure from every side, whether from the West or from regional rivals. The bond between India and Russia in energy and economy is therefore more than trade. It is a safeguard of freedom, a shield against manipulation, and a guarantee of stability. As India continues its rise, the ability to rely on Russia for vital resources ensures that it does not become a pawn in someone else's game. This trust keeps the bond strong, and it allows India to move forward as a nation that belongs to no one but itself. The U.S. factor in India's foreign relations is complex, filled with opportunities but also deep skepticism. America has made countless attempts to win India over, offering trade, defense agreements, and political partnerships. It calls India a strategic ally, praises its democracy, and highlights the importance of cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. Yet, despite all these gestures, the trust between the two nations has never reached the level India shares with Russia. There is always a sense of caution, a quiet distance that India maintains. India sees the U.S. as a partner, but not as a dependable friend. The reason is simple. History has shown that American foreign policy is transactional. It is guided not by loyalty, but by immediate benefit. When interests align, America draws close. When they do not, America pulls away. This pattern has been repeated across the world, leaving behind nations that once believed in long-term partnership but later found themselves abandoned. India has studied this carefully and refuses to fall into the same trap. During wars and crises, America's actions spoke louder than its words. There were moments when India faced existential threats and needed support, but instead of standing by, the U.S. chose neutrality or favored India's adversaries. Weapons were denied, pressure was applied, lectures were given instead of real help. These experiences carved a deep mark in India's memory. Even today, when America offers advanced defense deals, India cannot forget the times when those very supplies were cut off at critical moments. On trade, too, the relationship is shaped by conditions. The U.S. often pushes for agreements that favor its own industries while restricting India's exports. It pressures India to open markets widely, but resists when Indian products gain ground. Such double standards remind India that the U.S. is not motivated by equal partnership, but by securing its own advantage. For India, this is not the foundation of genuine trust. It is a business deal disguised as friendship. And then there is the matter of political pressure. The U.S. often uses human rights, sanctions, and international influence as tools to bend nations into compliance. India, however, values its sovereignty above everything. It will not be told how to act, whom to align with, or what policies to adopt. This insistence on independence creates friction. America seeks alignment, but India seeks respect. The gap between the two cannot be hidden by diplomatic smiles. On the other side of the equation lies China. If India is cautious with America, it is openly distrustful of China. The reasons go back decades and remain raw to this day. Border disputes have erupted into conflicts, sometimes costing lives. Even in times of supposed peace, tensions simmer along the Himalayan frontiers. China's ambitions clash directly with India's, whether in regional influence, economic competition, or military presence. For India, there is no question of trust when it comes to China. The rivalry is not temporary, it is structural and deep-rooted. China's growing partnership with Pakistan only fuels India's suspicion further. India sees this alliance as a direct threat designed to weaken its position. Add to that China's attempts to encircle India through investments in neighboring countries, and the mistrust becomes even sharper. India knows that behind every handshake from Beijing lies a long-term strategy aimed at domination, not cooperation. This leaves India in a position where trust becomes a rare and valuable commodity. With America, the connection is useful but conditional. With China, the relationship is marked by rivalry and suspicion. In this landscape, Russia stands out as the one constant, the one nation that has proven reliability in defense, economy, and diplomacy. While others waver, Russia has remained steady. India's reliance on Russia therefore becomes even more important. It is not just about military or energy cooperation. It is about having a partner that does not switch sides when the winds change. Russia has demonstrated loyalty in ways that neither America nor China ever has. For India, this is not a matter of sentiment, but of survival. It understands the risks of misplaced trust, and so it places its trust where it has been earned over decades. In a world of shifting alliances, Russia remains the anchor that allows India to navigate storms without losing balance. The message to the world is clear. India's choice is not a sign of weakness, but a mark of strength. In a global system where promises are made easily and broken even faster, India has shown that it does not fall for sweet words or flashy deals. It looks deeper, it studies history, and it values loyalty over convenience. This is what sets India apart and makes its trust so powerful. Nations across the world often chase alliances for short-term gain. They sign agreements for trade, defense, or political leverage only to walk away when interests shift. For them, friendship is a transaction measured in profits and power. But India has broken away from this pattern. It has chosen to align itself with those who have proven their friendship through actions, not speeches. This decision sends a powerful signal. India will not be manipulated by flattery or pressured into submission. Loyalty is rare in international politics, but India shows that it is not impossible. By standing with a partner that has stood with it in times of crisis, India teaches the world that true relationships are built in fire, not in comfort. It demonstrates that loyalty remembered is loyalty rewarded. This principle echoes beyond politics. It is a lesson for humanity. In a world that often forgets who was there during the darkest hours, India's example reminds us that memory and gratitude matter. This choice also reflects confidence. India is not desperate for validation. It does not rush to embrace every hand that extends toward it. Instead, it carefully selects who enters its circle of trust. That patience and discipline reveal a maturity that many nations lack. India's rise is not just about power, it is about dignity. It will not sacrifice its principles for temporary applause. This calm, steady approach shows the world that independence is the real mark of strength. By valuing proven friendship, India challenges the world to reconsider its own behavior. It questions why so many nations trade loyalty for benefits, why alliances collapse when tested, and why trust is treated as a disposable commodity. India's stance forces a reflection. Is global politics truly about unity and cooperation, or is it only about self-interest? Through its example, India argues that stability and peace can only come when trust is honored and loyalty is respected. This message is also a shield. By making it clear that trust is not for sale, India protects itself from manipulation. Countries that thought they could win India with temporary offers now understand that the standard is much higher. They must prove themselves not just once, but consistently. This changes the way the world engages with India. Instead of offering empty promises, nations are forced to bring genuine commitment to the table. India's choice of loyalty over empty promises is not about isolation. It is about setting boundaries. It still works with many nations, trades with them, and negotiates deals. But when it comes to trust, it is selective. This balance allows India to grow without becoming dependent. It allows it to collaborate without being controlled. And it shows smaller nations that they too can demand respect, that they do not have to surrender their independence to survive. The world watches India carefully, and the message keeps repeating itself: loyalty matters, consistency matters, and proven friendship is more valuable than promises made in the heat of convenience. India's actions remind everyone that global power is not just about armies or economies, it is about principles. And in holding firm to those principles, India stands taller than ever. In the end, the message India gives to the world is both simple and profound. Trust cannot be bought, loyalty cannot be faked, and strength is not measured by how many partners you collect, but by how wisely you choose the few who stand with you in every storm. This is the wisdom that guides India, and this is the lesson that echoes far beyond its borders. India's journey in choosing one true ally is not just about politics, weapons, or trade deals. It is a reflection of wisdom gained through experience. Nations may come with promises, but India has seen how quickly those promises can fade. Betrayals and shifting loyalties have taught India a powerful truth. Real trust is rare, and once it is found, it becomes priceless. By standing firm with the one ally that has never let it down, India shows the world that strength is not about chasing many friends. It is about recognizing the value of one bond that stands the test of time. This is not just strategy. It is dignity, clarity, and power in action. If this message inspired you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more powerful insights and motivational content.